Alright, the purpose of this video is to show multi-threaded programs in the game TIS-100, which calls itself the assembly language puzzle game that nobody asked for. And so here we have our problem. And so the problem, or the challenge, is to read a value from input A, right here, input A, and double the value, and then write the new value to output A, right here. And so what it's going to do when the program runs, it's going to take this input and it's going to expect this output, and then it's going to expect this input, it's going to send this input, and it's going to expect this output and nothing but this output until after it gets this. So if it gets 68, if it gets 68 before 132, even though it's the correct value for the input, the program will fail, because it was expecting 132 to be the first output for this test. And so what the program is what it does is it moves whatever the input is from up to the right to this node right here, and then what it will do is it'll move from up down one node. And so let's go through the first thread. So the first thread is when it's moved right. So it's moved right into this node, and it moves from the left to active memory, which is right here. And then it will add whatever this value is to active memory. And so since we're adding active memory to active memory, we're doubling it. And then it will move active memory down one node. And then here what this node does is it takes it from the above node, move from up, down. And then what this one does is it moves from up, down. And then I'll show you the other thread. It does basically the same thing, except down this path. And so what this program will do is what this node will do is it will run this command, and then the next input it gets, it will run this command for. Then it'll run through this and run through this. And so since this thread started first, it will execute the first command. And then so it will have finished the first command, and then it will move on to the second one, and it will only execute the second one when it gets the input from this thread here. And so that's very important, because the input will get stuck right here in between these two nodes unless it has just finished doing this command. Here I'll show. So I can run this through step by step, and so it'll start all of the nodes on their first command, and it will take in 66, and it will take it and put it to this node, and then it will put that node in active memory, and then it's taking in 34 right now. So then 34 is being sent to this node, and 66 was just added to itself, and so now it will be moved down. So it's now being moved to this node, and this one is putting 34 into active memory. And then so it doubles this one and then moves this one down to this node, and then so that this one is completing now, and so it'll move on to its second command, and it'll be ready for the input from this thread now. And so it'll do that step, and then it will repeat the process. And so I'll just run this now, and it'll go through all these inputs and get all these outputs. You can see it's going fairly fast. It just ran test 2, test 3, now it's running the random test. Alright, so that little beep means that we're done. And so now I'm going to show you how fast it would go if it were one thread. And so here's our two-threaded program, here's our one-threaded program. Just ignore the middle one. It had 84 cycles, so that it went 84 times, and it had 6 nodes that were used and 12 instructions. And this one had almost double the cycles, but 2 less nodes used and half the instructions. But we'll see why this is much slower. So here we are just going one by one, just continue over and over again going through this thread. We don't have this second one to go through, and so I won't re-explain the logic of it, but I'll just run the first one through step by step really quick. So it puts 66 into active memory, adds 66 to itself, and then moves it down, moves it down, moves it to the right, moves it to the output. And I'll run this, and you can see it's going about half the speed, if not a third or a quarter of the speed. So it's extremely slower compared to the 2 threads. Alright. So yeah, that is multi-threaded programming in the game TIS-100.